Hey guys, this is Jack Punkington here with another video tonight. Tonight I thought I would talk about something that I never really thought I'd bring up in the show. It goes to the core ideals of the show. Um, but it's a little strange. I've done CD reviews before. This is not a CD review, but it's kind of like that. This is a band review and my thoughts on the band. Now, my thoughts have changed a lot, and this band's been out for a fair amount of time. Their first album came out in '03, and I started listening to them about the time their second album came out. And recently they've changed and done a lot of new stuff, and I kind of like drifted off from them for a little while before they changed, and I'm really liking their new stuff, kind of, so I thought I'd talk about it a little bit. 3 Days Grace, a band that when I was starting out on guitar was one of my favorites. They were when I started out on guitar, they were more dark, hardcore, like rock, alternative rock. Um, when I started out on guitar, I was listening to 1X, the album, and that's actually the song 1X is what I first learned to play with tabs. So it's very interesting to see that and how they've changed. I've been a fan with them pretty much since their second album, but their first album actually has one of my favorite songs by them on it, which is Home. And back then it was like, wow. And recently, they've changed because they have a new singer. And at first I wasn't sure about how I felt. I when the single Painkiller came out by them, I had a friend listen to it and he thought it was actually going to be a cover of Judas Priest Painkiller, but it wasn't. It's their own song. And I heard it and I was like, it's okay. It's something I'd listen to frequently. But then I heard I Am Machine and oh my gosh, I was like, wow. And that is a song I will listen to. Now, the reason why at first I was like, because when I heard Painkiller, it sounded like I can't remember his name. I believe I'm not even gonna try and guess. But the new singer, who is the guitar player's little brother, when I first heard that song, I was like, he's trying to be Adam, and that's not good. And in I Am Machine, yes, he does follow some kind of like ways Adam would sing, but I feel he's branching out more into his own sound. Now, I have nothing against him, or his old band, My Darkest Days. In fact, for anyone who's seen the show long enough and watched my old videos, you will know that in my first 3 videos, I had a My Darkest Days T-shirt on. So, and I still have it. But they have changed a lot with their new singer, and I'm interested in what their new album is going to be like when it comes out. If they make a new one, I hope so. I am a huge fan of 3 Days Grace. They're probably in my top 15 to top 10 bands. It's kind of hard. Um, I have various opinions about them, and I'm going to talk about a lot of them. We'll start off with their first album, 3 Days Grace. Let's see. Songs off the albums that were a big hit. Um, I Hate Everything About You. Home. I think one was called Just Like Me. I can't remember. I remember the song and the music video, but I can't remember the title. Among others. And it was a great introduction to their band. It was alternative new rock. It wasn't like Seether. It wasn't like Shinedown. The reason why I say that is because they're considered alternative new rock. 3 Days Grace was their own style when they came out. 3 Days Grace was a heavier alternative opposed to the lighter alternatives. And there's sections for each part, and I feel that they fall in the post grunge alternative style of music. And then 1X came out, which had a lot of the same tones and sounds as their first album, but their image had changed. This is their big hit album that came out that made them who they were. 3 Days Grace came out with 1X. It was more gothic imagery. If you want to say scene or emo imagery, yeah, you could argue that. I just say gothic just because of the fashion and the style that they had worn, and more demonic. Not in a satanic way, but just like the song I Am, or Animal I've Become, has kind of a demonic, like, not message. It just kind of like we fight our own demons. If you actually watch the music video, he fights his own actual demon. And it's very interesting to listen to, and I love that. I remember when I actually that was the first thing I ever shared on Facebook when I got my Facebook account, was Animal I Become, and that was kind of like my start into my gothic like roots. Other great songs off of 1X include Never Too Late, which is a huge one by them, because it's an acoustic ballad that switches into rock, or switches with non-acoustic, but it sounds really good. 1X is a great song. I've heard the album so many times I can't even think of the other ones that are on there. Riot, all great songs, great album. It's what made them famous. Pain, all the music videos off of that album have very good symbolism and imagery in it, and it really fits their style. And then their third album comes out, and it's kind of like a change in their whole imagery, because 1X's style actually lasted for a few, I think like 2 years before The Good Life came out, which is their third album. And I remember when that album came out, I listened to it, and it had a new sound, but it was still the core 3 Days Grace kind of feeling since we've had since the first album. And it was really interesting to listen to all of it. I remember I would listen to that a lot when I would go on walks and compare it. And I still listen to a lot of songs. Like The Good Life is a great song. Wow, it's actually the only one I can think of off that album right now. There's a ton on there that I actually really like. I haven't listened to that album in a while. I've actually been listening to this last album with Adam on it, which I'll get to in a second. But The Good Life was an album focused more on a lot of loss that they'd gone through in writing that album. And then Transversa Venus comes out. I remember the day that album came out. That album actually came out when I had this crush on this girl back when I was in a band called Beautiful Broken Hearts. And that was the start of my introduction to playing concerts and playing shows and just working with other musicians. And Transversa Venus came out. Chalk Outline was the first single, and it was amazing. But it was completely different from what we're used to. The imagery of the gothic, dark imagery that we've been accustomed to changed completely. It wasn't like that anymore. It was alternative in a new sense of they almost came up with their own stuff. It had a bit of techno dubstep added, because that was at the beginning of the dubstep boom, when dubstep became streamlined and modern, popular. And Chalk Outline, Broken Glass, Misery is My Company, is my favorite track off of that album. That album helped me actually through a lot of dark times when it came out. And that phrase, Misery Loves Company, is just a wonderful phrase, and the message behind the song is fantastic. Now, there is still some gothic imagery in their music videos and in their kind of like sound, but it's not what we're used to at all, and it's still cool to listen to. That's what I've actually been listening to most recently. And then after that fantastic album, Adam quits. He calls it quits. I remember when he actually did, I found out it was due to vocal health issues, which is throat issues, and he quit. I'm sure there's other things, because just recently after that, he started his own band called Gantier, which I believe is what it's called, but I'm not 100% sure. The source I found that out is not credible, so don't quote me on that. I have listened to his new band. I have not heard anything in the studio, but I've heard them do live performances, and it's okay. But before I heard that, Art of Dying, another good band, which I may talk about one day in the show, I'm not sure, I have to listen to them more, comes out with this song with Adam Gantier as a co-singer, and it's like, I thought you were done because of vocal issues, bro. Now, when I heard the song, I loved it. I still listen to it, but that kind of leaves me wondering why he actually quit the band, and I'm sure there's actually resources out there. If anyone has any better information on why he quit, please comment. I'd love to actually hear it, and I'd love to learn more about it. But then I turned away from 3 Days Grace for a while, because I was like, well, Adam can never truly be replaced very well, and this is a band that me and my biological sister actually really both like, along with other bands such as MCR and The Used. We talk about this a lot. And she got to see them. My mom actually got to meet all of them and was offered a job by them and never took it because of family issues, which is fine. But she got to meet all of them. And this is right after 1X had kind of like been out for about maybe 2 months. And she got my sister an autograph. My sister, I think, eventually got to meet them. I'm not sure, at another show. But they just were a band that both me and her can actually talk about listening to. And then Painkiller comes out. They have their new singer. He's interesting, enjoyable, but when I first heard him, like, he's trying to be Adam. They're trying to make the same sound, but they're making him sound like Adam. And I was like, it's good. It sounds like a B-side track to me, but that's just me personally. The message behind it is very enjoyable, and I actually can fit with that message very well. But it wasn't super enjoyable. And then I Am Machine came out, and I can't stop listening to it. The message is great. The vocals are great. The music video is interesting. The guitar is just, it all works together, and it has actually the classic 3 Days Grace sound, but with the modern twist I think that they were trying to go for, and they did a very good job with it. It doesn't sound like anything they've done before, but at the same time it does, which makes no sense, but go with me on it. If you haven't heard the song, I don't know how you've been avoiding it, because it's been out for a little while. Look it up. I Am Machine by 3 Days Grace. It's pretty good. Now, the band as a whole, I'm interested to see where they will go in the future. I want to listen to their new album when it comes out. If there's going to actually be an album, I have no idea. Adam Gantier. I don't know what happened to him. I hope his band comes out with an album, because I want to hear it, and I want to hear how he sounds with a different band, and I want to hear how much his style and his ideas actually influence 3 Days Grace as a whole, and then carrying it over to a new band, if it's just going to be a whole new band with a new sound, or if it's just going to be it's 3 Days Grace with just different people. So tell me what you guys think. Do you love or hate 3 Days Grace? Do you agree with my opinion that I Am Machine's a good song, but Painkiller was okay? and you're interesting to see more, but at the same time, you still kind of miss the glory days of Adam. Tell me what you guys think. I'd love to hear it. Talk to you guys later. Peace. Bye-bye.